You're listening to the Raw Reaction on the Angry Marks Podcast Network.
Big Dick, I'm great tonight. You know, we're doing the show a day late. We're doing it Tuesday night. I got to watch the Cruiserweights 205. I got to watch SmackDown tonight. And, we were talking before we went on the air, we were talking about the Broken Hardys on TNA. What a great time, again, to be a wrestling fan. There's so much good wrestling on right now. And it's been a long time since we've been in this type of era, in my opinion, at least on mainstream TV. But it's a great time to be a wrestling fan. And Raw last night was no different.
Yeah. This episode of Raw was one of the better ones seen in a while. Was pretty excited with everything they did there.
What was your favorite part of tonight's Raw?
You know what?
Last night's Raw.
I hate to say it. My favorite part was probably the list of Jericho and the main event.
The list of Jericho continuously is the best thing on TV. I was surprised Reigns was so easily able to turn Owens and Jericho against each other, weren't you?
You know what? It could have been another play where Jericho's acting like he was leaving the arena and he ended up getting jumped along the way by Seth Rollins.
That is true. We don't know that. And actually Charles, and I love that Chris Jericho calls her Charles. Charles tried to stop Jericho on the way out. I said, why should we believe you? You know, you guys did this last week. So you are absolutely correct. It is possible, that he was gonna come back and help Owens out. And Owens definitely had a hard time with Roman Reigns tonight. He actually lost. And, it's unfortunate that Owens, although he's had a lengthy title reign, continuously gets booked in a scenario where, he's such a tough guy and he's such a hard fighter. I mean, think about how he beat John Cena coming in. This is a bad title run. I mean, it was even brought up by Reigns that he should have lost title last week and the week before that and the week before that and the week before that. I don't really understand why they're booking him so weakly. Do you?
Yeah, you know what? I mean, I think they're ultimately trying to make him not necessarily a fighting champ, but more of a fluky champ.
Yeah.
And I get that. I mean, it is working on some levels, but at the same time, you want to see not be interference every week or not be Jericho getting involved or some other bullshit games like that. You need to have a little bit more. I mean, you need to give him clean wins. I mean, it doesn't have to be against necessarily Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns, but I mean, you can give him a match against Sami Zayn or somebody else, like a little bit further down the card, where he gets a solid win.
I agree. I just don't understand why he continuously looks that way. I mean, so I guess they're going to go down the path of Reigns versus Owens. I don't personally view Reigns as a threat at this point to the title. I just don't see them putting the title on Reigns. What do you think?
No, I don't at all. I think it's just sort of, we've had Rollins and basically the only people who've been in the title picture for the last since pay-per-view or since the belt was awarded after Finn Balor relinquished it. It's really been Rollins the whole time.
Yeah. Reigns has really shot himself in the foot with the infraction. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what though. This match was a very good match. Like there were a lot of times, holy shit, some good bumps. I could have seen it going either way. This was a good match. I mean, I think we're past the point where we say, you know what, Roman Reigns isn't a good worker. I think we're past that. I think it's more Roman Reigns. You know what? He doesn't get crowd reaction. He's not good at the promo. He's not John Cena. He's not. But at the end of this match, I heard a lot of cheering for him.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know. I thought with this one, you're right. I mean, this was a really good match. I thought last week Owens dusting off his power bomb on the apron on Rollins. I mean, that was great. And we haven't seen that since like NXT or I don't remember last time I saw him do it, but I love that move. I think it's absolutely devastating. And it's the move that he really busted on the scene and messed up Sami Zayn with when Zayn was the NXT champion. I love that. I remember that like it was yesterday. And, Chris Jericho made a good point too, about this whole Rollins, Reigns, Jericho feud. The accusation, and it was very ballsy, the accusation that Chris Jericho was at ringside and interfered in a Sin Cara mask was an abomination, because what no one realized they do now was that it was Sin Cara in a very, very good Chris Jericho mask that interfered in that match. And, what a bump for Sin Cara to get to interfere in the Kevin Owens Rollins match last week. So now Sin Cara is in the WWE title picture. Can you believe that?
That's quite interesting. It's like what's that guy on SmackDown who's like the mascot?
Ellsworth.
Yeah, James Ellsworth. It's sort of like him getting promoted to title matches.
I'm just telling you, man, it just blows my mind that in 2016, the two best talents in wrestling right now, entertainment-wise, are Chris Jericho and Matt Hardy. I love it. It makes me so happy, and it's just great to see. I mean, think about it. The List and, like, Vanguard 1 are the hottest things on TV. Go figure.
The list is, it's next level television. I think that, along with Chris Jericho getting inducted to the Hall of Fame, I think this List could get a separate induction.
But keep in mind, you need Jericho for the List to work. No one else could walk around with the List and it would be popular. Jericho is what makes the List.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I'll give you that. Now, what do you think? I have a question for you. I don't know if Seth Rollins was really hurt during the powerbomb, or just sort of hurt, or not hurt, or look hurt. But he wasn't involved in, correct me if I'm wrong, I've watched most of Raw. He wasn't involved in anything other than jumping Chris Jericho outside of his car, correct?
Correct, because he was supposedly injured. And I have to say, you make a good point. I mean, that move is so devastating, that powerbomb in the apron. It's 100%, it's a 100% chance to look like there's an injury on every time it's executed. It looks absolutely devastating, and WWE is very smart to utilize it only in that scenario, and it really does sell the situation very well.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess my question is, let's say Rollins is hurt, whether it be from the pop-up or from the powerbomb on the apron or from something else. Let's say he's out for 2 months or a month or so. At the next pay-per-view, how would you feel about Jericho, Roman Reigns, and Kevin Owens main event?
A triple threat?
Yeah.
Oh, I think I don't understand why they're not doing it now, because I would think that would be super intriguing, because you have the. I think they're more likely to do a fatal 4-way, which would suck. I think it's too much. But I agree with you. I think that would be you wouldn't know who was going to win, and there's no doubt at this point Jericho and Owens are going to have a mental lapse and fight each other. So yeah, I mean, that would, to me, the fans might actually like groan a bit hearing that would be the match they're going to book. However, I think if they saw it and it was on actually playing out, I think it will be an outstanding match. I mean, I remember when Benoit won the title, people were like groaning it was going to be Benoit versus Triple H versus HBK at WrestleMania 20, and it went on to be one of the greatest matches of all time. And I know people were annoyed that Benoit didn't get the one-on-one with Triple H, which everybody wanted at the time. They're like, Benoit needs to get the clean win over Triple H. He's deserved it. And then instead they gave the triple threat, and HBK added such a dynamic, went on to be the greatest match of all time almost. And then Benoit taps out, Triple H gets his big moment. I'm not saying...
hold on a second. You said it wrong. Benoit won the championship. Triple H got it.
Triple H did tap out, yeah, that's why.
It's late, folks. It is 11:30 p.m. Eastern Standard.
What'd I say?
You said that Triple H, or you said Benoit tapped out.
No, Benoit tapped out Triple H. My fault.
Yes.
But my point being is, I think that if you have Reigns versus Owens straight up, Owens is going to win. Absolutely going to win. But if you add Jericho to the dynamic, I don't necessarily think that anymore. It changes my opinion, because I can see a lot of different ways that could play out. You know what I mean?
I can see Reigns getting the pin on Jericho. I could see Kevin Owens winning it, or I could see Kevin
I
Owens.
like your thought. I think it would be I didn't really think of it, but I think it would be better. Absolutely. And we'll see what happens. It's gonna it's still early. We don't know. Things can change, but that looks like we're on a collision course for Jericho versus Rollins, and then Reigns versus Owens for the title. But one thing I thought about when I saw Rollins jump Jericho backstage as he's trying to get in a limo, I mean, don't you think Rollins' beating was a little bit heelish? I mean, he really kicked Jericho's ass. I mean, to the point where it was almost a little uncomfortable. Wasn't very nice of him.
You know what? He had his championship rematch ruined by Jericho. It's not like Jericho was limping out or getting an ambulance. Jericho was either cutting tail and running or pretending to cut tail and run. So I don't think you get that much sympathy. He gave it a good beatdown. I wouldn't even mind seeing. I think it'd be a better match seeing Jericho versus Rollins than seeing Reigns versus Kevin Owens.
Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens there. How about the main event tonight? Charlotte versus Sasha Banks.
Oh my God, it was unbelievable match, like just unbelievable. And I was saying to you a little bit last night before we got on air. There were probably 10 moves during that match. When I see the ref going to check on one of them, and I'm literally waiting for the axe. Like there were so many freaking dangerous moves in that match where what looked dangerous. And you know what? Part of it I think is because Sasha Banks, she's like 5'5" and pretty frail.
Yeah.
To Charlotte, who's like 5'10" and jacked up.
Well, I thought it looked incredibly physical. I agree with you. It was a great match. I mean, it was probably the best women's match that's been on Raw in maybe maybe longer than that. These guys are obviously pissed off at the Hell in a Cell match. They had a couple spots that didn't look good. They didn't come off the right way. And this is the match they should have had. I mean, this really, this is. And, I kind of have a couple issues with the outcome. I thought the match was perfectly executed. I don't have an issue with the outcome here in the sense of Sasha Banks winning, but I don't understand why Charlotte beat Sasha Banks in her hometown and now Charlotte beat Sasha in her hometown. You know what I mean? Like, why would they each beat each other for the title in their own each other's hometown? Like, what's the end game there? Like, it doesn't seem like a good move, I
could eventually see the end game end up being WrestleMania. And maybe not the main event, but one of the main events.
Yeah, I mean, clearly, these guys are delivering at a high level. And, Charlotte got lost in the fold a little bit because, when Bayley and Sasha really started getting this spotlight down in NXT, Charlotte was already on her way up. And, in my opinion, Charlotte was dominating the NXT for a very, very long time. And, I don't think Sasha and Bayley were actually there yet to really push Charlotte. Like, they got so much better in the months after. It shows Charlotte absolutely can hang with these guys, if not being the best all around. She may not be the best worker of all the girls, but all around with the mic work, with the swag, I really think she's a total package. Sasha Banks is the best wrestler of the group, in my opinion, but she's missing the mic work and all the things that Charlotte can do to get under your skin, in my opinion.
And Charlotte, she's a great heel. There's no doubt about it. I mean,
can I tell you that? I feel like Charlotte, you know what I was thinking? Like, I could see, if a champion was really cocky, like let's say Jericho wins the belt somehow and just keeps getting bullshit wins. Couldn't you see him going out on a Raw, just running his mouth? Like, I could beat anybody. I beat Stone Cold and The Rock on the same night. I'm the champion. And then fucking Charlotte comes out and confronts him. Like, I want a shot at the title. Like, I could totally see that. That's how I view Charlotte. Like, I think she can hang with the men. She's so tough and such a crafty worker.
I would say the same thing if she was a face. I would think that she could.
She's just tough. Like, she is she's an attractive woman. Don't get me wrong. but she's got that Beth Phoenix thing going where like she can kick someone's ass. Like, you know what I mean? Like she's no joke, dude. And she's not like a heavy weightlifter like Beth Phoenix was. Like she's just naturally just a big kid, you know? She's a big, big, big girl. Like in a good way, you know? She's just tough. Like I don't know. Charlotte's really an awesome champion, and I'm looking forward to seeing, you know, how she develops over the years. I mean, she's only going to get better, right? And the competition's there. The women's division's in a great place, and this was just proof of it last night. And, you know, I used to make fun of the women's division when I first started here, when they were the divas here in Angry Marks, and be like, why do they even bother with this shit? At the time, it was Caitlyn and AJ Lee and Maxine and all these terrible divas. It was cool.
Cruiserweight division has taken a place of the women's division as far as when just like sort of how matches are looked at on Raw.
You know what? I'll tell you something. Last week, I was on these airwaves saying, well, 2 weeks ago, saying we should eliminate the Cruiserweight division and just keep Brian Kendrick. I gotta tell you, watching Live 205 tonight, 205 Live tonight, now for those of you who know, we're broadcasting tonight, a night later. We got to watch SmackDown in 205. When they're on their own show, Vic, it was a different ball game. And I couldn't believe the same guys I was watching just tank on Raw looked different on this show. And I don't know if they were more comfortable or what, but there was a match where the Bollywood Boys, who are a tag team that are coming in, and they took on Tony Nese and Drew Gulak. And the interview that Nese and Gulak gave after the show was hysterical. Or after the match, right after the match. They lose the match, and Gulak, or Nese says, with Gulak standing next to him when he's getting interviewed, you know what, we can't work in these conditions. This ring, it's lumpy. These ropes are greasy. This is no place to work. This isn't like Raw, this 205 Live. I just thought it was awesome. It showed more character out of Nese and Gulak than I saw 3 months of them on Raw. I mean, literally in that little tiny interview, and I was like, wow, these guys are pretty funny. That's cool. You know, so hopefully they come up with something.
It's sort of like NXT. It opens the door for people to get a little more mic work. I mean, a lot of these guys in the Cruiserweight division, they've never really had an opportunity to do a lot of mic work or like newer entrances or mess around with calls. Like now they don't have like a 10-minute limit on matches. They do like a 20-minute match. And I mean, you know, all these guys can work that long because they're under 105 pounds.
Well, I was worried with the NXT thing, to your point. Like when they come, there is a difference between being on Monday Night Raw and being on NXT or 205. I don't care what anyone says. There is a huge difference. And I was worried about like Bayley coming up because I don't know why, but I always felt like there was something missing versus like Charlotte and Sasha Banks. I don't think Becky Lynch is even close to their level. But Bayley is supposed to be at their level. And I was really concerned that she wouldn't translate, even though she had the big following on Raw TV and she'd be kind of a joke. And she did translate. Same thing with Finn Balor. I mean, even though we only saw him for like 3 weeks, he was the biggest thing on TV and won the title. I mean, so certain guys translate, but then we see the Ascension. I mean, really, I'm so sad over it. I mean, they are maybe the biggest bust in the history of the WWE. And
yeah, but you also have Neville.
Neville's a boss too. Sami Zayn's a boss.
Sami Zayn getting there.
Well, the problem with Neville is I don't know what happened. Did I just get tired of him? At first he lost all the time anyway, but he was like the best athlete on TV. I was like, I don't care that this guy just lost to Cena and Owens. He's awesome.
Yeah. You look forward to seeing him wrestle somebody like a Braun Strowman because he's still getting it
anymore. Why don't I?
I don't know. But yeah, I mean, like you're saying, I mean, there's a lot of people who haven't translated over from WWE. But I'll tell you what, I watched NXT, I think it was last week. They put on a hell of a show, and they have a lot of talent.
Yeah. Well, Austin Aries, who's in NXT, was on 205 Live tonight as the announcer, and he was awesome. Austin Aries was the man in TNA. If Neville goes into the Cruiserweight division, and it looks like Aries is going to be on 205 Live, between him, Kendrick, Neville, and Aries, all these other guys better forget about ever holding the title, because those three, head and shoulders above any of these guys.
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right there.
Kendrick is not only like one of the best wrestlers in the world, but he has the coolest theme music of anybody. Still, even though he used it 10 years ago.
You know what I would like? You know what I would like to see though, with the next. I think you touched on it a little bit. I'd like to see some cross, not leaving NXT, but between the Cruiserweight division, Raw and SmackDown. Like, you know what? We're gonna have Sin Cara wrestle there. That's fine. Why don't we have Enzo wrestle the show? And then, if Enzo loses, you can have a final match on Raw, and then people give a shit about it because it's somebody entertaining versus Enzo.
You know what I read, to your point, about guys being on like different shows or stepping down? I read an awesome idea that some guy had in a forum, and I was like, wow, that's a cool storyline. So you know how Big Show like wants to retire at WrestleMania after like fighting Shaq? Well, a guy said, why not for like 4 or 5 months have Big Show want to show everybody he still has it? Goes down to NXT, night 1, goes after who's ever the champion, in this case Samoa Joe, takes the title, and then literally have Big Show defend the title in a series of matches where open challenges or whatever they want to do, like 8 weeks in a row, let him win all those matches, and then give a guy the ultimate rub to beat Big Show clean in a big way after all those wins, and then Big Show's just done. But he has that run in NXT. That would be cool. That's a good idea.
That'd be interesting, but I think that outside of Mickey James and Morano, they haven't recycled a lot of people into NXT.
They should, though.
I wouldn't mind people going down there, but you just gotta be careful it's not gonna look like the minor leagues. We don't want it to be like
But you kind of do, though. Because I kind of disagree with you. Because what the problem is these guys come up from NXT and just immediately roll on all the guys that are already there. And I think that means like, it makes WWE look stupid, like that they're not evaluating talent correctly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that it would make sense to have Raw guys go down there, SmackDown guys go down there, and occasionally pick up a win here or there. Because remember, the matches in NXT shouldn't really matter. The outcomes shouldn't matter because it's developmental. Aside from the title matches, none of the matches the outcomes should mean nothing. So, I don't know. I just think you don't want these guys coming up that no one knows them and they're immediately, I think Finn Balor should have beaten some main roster guys down at NXT before coming up and just literally a second match winning the title. Like we watch NXT, so, we knew what to expect, and obviously our friends and people we know watch independent wrestling, so we knew who Finn Balor was, but I will bet you an 8 or 9 or 10-year-old kid who is the core fan of the WWE was like, who the hell is this guy? They're not all watching NXT. I find that hard to believe that all these little kids, I still think most kids are of the mindset they're going to watch TV when it's on. They're not going to just go to their iPad and get home from school and be, oh, I got to punch up NXT. They're going to watch what's on. That's just my opinion.
Oh yeah, I think you're right.
So I don't know. I just think I want to make sure that the main roster guys, like Dolph Ziggler, for instance, basically any NXT guy that faces him will immediately get a win over him. Doesn't it make sense for him to go down every once in a while and maybe pick up a big win so that there's that continuity? I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I just, like look at Braun Strowman tonight. He kills R-Truth. Just kills R-Truth. Then he kills Goldust. You do realize R-Truth 2.5 years ago, not even 2 years ago, was it 3 years ago, 2 years ago? He main evented Survivor Series with Miz versus The Rock and John Cena. Really? Think about that. Wow. And now I have a problem with it. I have a problem with, I don't have a problem with squash matches, and I don't have a problem with guys getting killed, but I do have a problem with once you decide to put a guy in the main event or put a title on him, whether it be Jack Swagger, whether it be the Great Khali, I'm not making a joke here. I'm being serious. I think once you decide I'm going to put the WWE title or the World Heavyweight title around someone's waist or make them the main event of a pay-per-view, which R-Truth was multiple pay-per-views, I don't think they should ever go back down to straight up jobs. It does not make sense. And I find it insulting that I literally bought pay-per-views where R-Truth fought John Cena for the WWE title, and I was supposed to believe that R-Truth was a threat to the title. And now I have to watch him get beat in 30 seconds. I want my money back then.
Yeah, no, I definitely get what you're saying, my man.
You know, I mean, I have more respect for these guys than that, and I think it's inappropriate. Like the Goldberg-Brock Lesnar thing, different story. That was just awesome. The story that was told there was amazing. That was that squash had a point. No one's ever gonna remember Braun Strowman beat R-Truth in 30 seconds. No one will. It just happened. But the reason Lesnar got squashed is because of his arrogance about him and Heyman literally thought Goldberg was an old man. He was a complete joke. They didn't take him seriously. They didn't think he was in shape. They were like, he was a joke to them. And even to Rusev, Goldberg was a joke. Rusev was like, subconsciously, Rusev was thinking, you know what? I want to be the first one to get this guy because he's easy for the pickings. He's 50. That was a good story there. And then Goldberg just kind of overcame the odds, you know? He's like what John Cena's supposed to be. You know? It's pretty cool. But, I love Rusev too, by the way. You know that, man. Rusev's one of the best guys on TV. I wish he could wrestle because he's great on the mic. He's great backstage. I mean, he's awesome. It's just his wrestling's so average.
Yeah, Rusev, I'll tell you what, Rusev, he's done some good things.
For sure.
But the problem is, there's no real upside for him with anybody he faces. I mean, I could see him face like Jack Swagger again, maybe Titus if he does a face turn. But there's nobody really put him on one-on-one.
I think Big Cass versus Rusev will be a good match, but here's my problem. I think Rusev he's actually put a lot of people over, believe it or not, even after his run. He's let some people win some matches on him. I think Rusev has to beat Big Cass. 100% has to beat him. You cannot let Big Cass win that match. I'm not saying that Big Cass can't be a player down the road. I know WWE's high on him. I just don't think it's a good idea. You've invested so much in Rusev. I don't think you should let him lose here.
I hear what you're saying. I get what you're saying.
And I'll tell you, when they do break up the tag team and turn Big Cass heel and Enzo Amore is like his manager, they are going to be unbelievable. I think when Enzo moves to that managerial role, which I think will happen, they're going to be, and if they go heel, I think they're going to be the biggest thing. I think it's going to be awesome. Enzo could be like the new age Paul Heyman, you know? I think he's eventually going to leave the wrestling piece and just be one of the focal points of the show as a mouthpiece. My opinion. He's so good on the mic. He's amazing. And not just the bullshit he does before the match that's in a can. He's just the way he tells stories backstage. Like, did you see the Shop Zone commercial they did, Vic?
What's that?
Did you see the Shop Zone commercial that Enzo and Cass did?
Pretty fucking entertaining, man. Pretty entertaining.
Like, so they're like, Big Cass is like, well, the passcode to get 15% off is Secret Santa 15 or whatever it was. And then the way Enzo goes, whoa, you weren't supposed to tell them that. You weren't, like, just his manner, like, he's amazing. Like, it was so funny and just so well, like, just, it's like stupid shit like that. I really like that. I really like the guys who can come off, like, it's like they're not even acting. It's how good it is. I enjoy it. I don't know. I really like Enzo. Not as a wrestler, but as a mouthpiece. I just think he's so good. You know, Raw's in a great place, man. There's so many good guys right now, you know? We talk about, like, the NXT bump. It shows you why Gallows and Anderson looked so shitty and why they lost tonight to New Day. Like, they're never going to top these guys. Raw has all the best guys. You got Jericho, Owens, Rusev, Seth Rollins. I mean, these guys are top performers. Gallows and Anderson will never. They can't stack up to guys like that. They just can't. It's up. And Brian Kendrick. I mean, dude, Brian Kendrick's like a little cruiserweight guy. He has more charisma in his pinky than Anderson and Gallows will ever have. How about that? Anderson and Gallows are the worst tag team in the WWE. The worst of the Ascension. There you go. Vic, are we losing you? Are you sleeping? I'm getting so passionate tonight, and I'm losing you. I think we lost him. Killer Kev, I think we lost Vic. I cannot believe with the tone and the passion and the charisma that I'm giving you Big Vic falls asleep on me.
I don't understand. He was just here 30 seconds ago.
Is he dead?
What's up?
I think he's freebasing.
Where the fuck did you go?
Me?
Yeah, you know, who else?
I don't know. I thought you had another fucking guest come on.
No, I was going off. I was teeing up something for you, and you just gone.
Sorry. Please go on.
There was nothing else to say. I was just ripping Anderson and Gallows beyond belief about how there's so much talent on the WWE roster they could never stand out.
And they could never get a win. Shit, they don't even win. Like, they could get their biggest win so far is probably getting a timeshare.
Hey, how about Sheamus and Cesaro finally finding the event that brings them together, the bar fight? How about that?
You know what? It makes so much sense. It makes so much sense. I'm just not sure if how they're gonna combine this. Are they gonna come down to the ring with drinks in their hand, or are they just gonna start playing nicely?
They're boys now. They have war scars. I literally think this is the moment that they're gonna win the tag titles. There's no doubt about that. They're gonna be really tough to beat too. They're like, Cesaro was not a world champion, but he might as well have been. I mean,
Yeah.
He was the world champion. You basically have the most established mid-card champion of, I want to say 2014, and then a 3-time world champion. These guys are going to be tough to beat. And they're a team now, like they're a legit team. These guys are like the real League of Nations. It's like what it should have been, right? I mean, they are the League of Nations.
Or Canadians.
Well, I mean, dude, that's what I'm saying though. Think about it. Like you have Owens and Jericho, like Jericho, and then these guys, and then the New Day. I mean, Anderson, Gallows, I mean, they're screwed. And then Rollins and Reigns are even a team right now. I mean, nice to knowing you boys. Go back to Japan.
Yeah. Well, you know what I hate about them too, more than anything else? I hate this thing that they're putting up the 2-screen sign. I absolutely hate it. You know what? That's great that you showed some respect and in fucking Japan. Take it off our screens right now. The NWO is a Hall of Fame group. You guys can't even fucking get a promo out.
I got an idea. So they're not going to be black and red. They're going to be black and white. I know they like the NWO thing. So I got an idea, right? For Anderson and Gallows. Could you imagine if we gave them like a little like waistband with like a little towel and maybe like a weird eye sign? And remember, they're going to be black and white, not black and red. Give them like a little towel. And then we're going to put face paint on them and then shoulder pads. And they're going to rise up from the stage. So when they come out, they'll pan up, and it would be good because like SmackDown is blue, Raw is white. They could have this tag team, and there's a red version on SmackDown and a white version on WWE, and just go all the way with it.
And
Gallows,
they call
Anderson.
Destruction.
No, just call them the Ascension. Same name. And never stress that there's two of them. Never address it. Just call them the Ascension and have the two of them come out. Same theme, same entrance, same everything. They start using the fall. Well, they'll never hit their finisher because they're never going to win. But they'll try and hit the Fall of Man. Like they'll attempt to hit it, but they won't be able to because like they never win, so they wouldn't use it. Well, Kev, what do you think? If just literally have Anderson.
And the sad thing, I actually like one of my favorite moves. I like the Magic Killer.
I hate that move.
I like the name of it. I think that's what it is. Because I remember when they came out and like they did like John Cena or something. It's fucking great. When they're doing it to like Enzo and then losing the match, it sucks.
I don't know how they screwed this up, WWE. They came out so big. You know what I mean? Like they were going to be huge, and they just like didn't do it right. You know? I mean, they should have came out as like this group. They should have like hijacked WWE, like stole the WWE title and just like took off. And WWE should have like said, you know what? Go on some other TV show or some other event. Go to a basketball game and have the WWE title with you in the crowd. You know, like just bring attention as like true outsiders, kind of like NWO. But they just didn't. They just threw them out there like anyone else. Like you invest all this money in Styles and these guys, and luckily for Styles it worked out. But I do feel bad for Anderson and Gallows, but I think their run's over. Just like Tensai from Japan. It didn't work out.
Yeah. At least Tensai from Japan had a main event victory over John Cena.
And CM Punk the next week. But the thing about Tensai that's so great is, I gotta say, it worked out okay for him. He is now the host of the Raw Reaction. Just saying. Just saying.
Not winning, I don't know what it is.
The worst with Lord Tensai was like the last few weeks that he was wrestling. I mean, man, he was losing bad matches, like just bad.
With
bad
Brutus.
matches. He was like losing Xavier Woods in like singles matches and stuff. I mean, it was just like
When he was dancing with Brodus Clay.
tons of funk. Oh my god.
Brodus Clay is a champion of TNA. How's that make you feel?
Champion of what?
I don't know. I thought he was a champion of TNA.
He's not their champion, I don't think.
I think it was. He was involved with it. He was like the enforcer or something, but I thought he got the title at some point.
As far as I'm concerned, all the titles belong to two men. And I had a premonition of this, that being the Broken Hardys, who are the greatest tandem ever. Dude, if they ever come back to WWE, people are going to go crazy. And they will come back, and it's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Now, I have a question for you. New Day sets the record. I think they said last night it was like 17 days until they break the record. Is there a pay-per-view before that?
I believe Roadblock, yes.
Oh, yeah, I wasn't sure. I think there's pay-per-view next weekend, but it's a SmackDown one. So I don't know if there's one the following weekend for WWE or not.
Well, let me look it up right now, but I want to point out one thing. We did talk about that tag match, but I want to point out one thing. Let's see, when is it? Roadblock. It is the 18th. You know what? They'll already have beat the record. So if they go to Roadblock, they would have the record.
Okay. I think that's part of the problem with the tag team division. Like we were talking about how like Anderson and Gallows never got a push. I think giving them the titles would have given them that push.
True. Well, first off, New Day should have never lost it the first time. Like they should have just been like they want it back like right away. And so I'm actually really surprised they lost it the first time. To be honest with you, I'm trying to think, when did they win it? Well,
About 400 days ago.
No, but they won it. They had another title reign before that.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I want to see this. One thing I wanted to point out is, and it surprises me that I don't know if you realize this, but did you hear how much Xavier Woods, and he did it last week too, but not to the degree. They talked a lot about Demolition, like a lot. And they even went as far as to kind of mock them, like their gimmick. And I was kind of like, are they going to actually do this? Is WWE actually going to bring out Demolition? Whether it be a comedy skit or not, because the guys are so old. I think Demolition's going to come out. I think you're going to see Demolition.
Wow. That would be pretty interesting.
Kev, do you think that could happen? Do you think Demolition could show up on our WWE TV?
Anything's possible.
But why would they mention them so much if they weren't going to come out, right? I mean, every time you call somebody out like that, they show up.
No idea. Maybe they will, maybe they won't.
You know one tag team I could see taking the titles off of them before it? The Authors of Pain down in
No way.
You don't think so? There's one under the giant.
Those guys, Paul Ellering's awesome, but those guys just are not ready. They are not ready. In fact, I don't know if you saw the finals of the Dusty Rhodes tournament.
I did.
The fact that TM61 didn't win or TM61 didn't win that match. I mean, I was shocked. I mean, they looked so good, and I'm just like, how did these two fat guys win this match? The Authors Pain just aren't good. They're like literally like the same thing as what Demolition or not Demolition, what Ascension was like. Getting that type of push, but I don't know.
So what do we have? What matches do we have lined up so far for Roadblock? Do we have any?
I think just Owens and Reigns right now.
Okay. It'll be interesting to see what they do. This is sort of, and especially in January after the Survivor Series pay-per-view, it's sort of like the dead season. Like, you're not going to see many title changes. I would love to see some NXT talent start popping up in WWE, whether it be Samoa Joe, Nakamura, Aries, Rude, the Revival.
Yeah. Did you notice that Sasha Banks dedicated the match to Ric Flair, and then he came out at the end?
I did. I was sort of waiting for a super heel turn from him to basically hold her well.
That was stupid and made no sense, because I don't care what happened between Charlotte and Ric Flair. That's his daughter. And a guy who's lost a kid on top of that. He values his daughter, obviously, as a child. Like, I was thinking about that. I don't care what my son does to me. I would never hug another kid who beat him down the road. Like that's weird, right? Like that was really weird.
It's an angle, and she needed all the help she can get because they were in Charlotte's hometown. So while she can get a good reaction, positive, negative, whatever, she's not going to get anything close to the reaction that Rick got.
Well, I don't know, man. It was a great match. Raw rocked, so that was good. You know what was interesting though? You know, taking Raw aside for a second, I got to watch SmackDown tonight and contrast the two. And the matches are definitely longer on SmackDown, which is surprising because they have less time. They gave Kane and Luke Harper like 15 minutes. It might even have been close to 20. Literally, the match was that long. And it was really good. It was a really good match. I don't know how it kept my attention. And I was surprised at how good the match was. Kane won clean, but it was a really good match. And I'm like, why is Kane and Luke Harper putting on such a good match? I was surprised. And then, after that, the Wyatts, Orton Wyatt and Bray Wyatt, beat American Alpha, shockingly, to be the number one contenders, to the tag titles. And they're going to take on Slater and Rhino. I mean, pretty cool TV, man. Pretty cool TV. I like what I'm seeing. It's a good time to be a WWE fan, Beck. Good time to be a WWE fan. Although I hate that Rich Swann took the title off Kendrick. Oh, I hate it so much. Hate it so much. The man with a plan. Just sick. I'm sick. But that's okay. And that's everything in a whole. That's the wrestling world. We lost you again. Killer Kev. Anything you want to talk about on the network before we get out of here?
Listen to episode 3 of the Wrestling Nerdcast, which is now available on AngryMarks.com. We have joining us the Mimfo Mofo, Mark Bravura. He was on a previous episode of Angry Marks podcast back in 2013, and Stevie J and King J both had a great interview with him, and we've brought him back for another interview with the Bearded Wonder Zane Paisley and Morningstar Will Huckabee. So we'll get to learn about how he came into the business and his training and what he's been up to lately. So,
sounds like fun.
Yeah, great episode. Check that out. Also coming this Thursday night, on Thursday Night AMP, it will be the annual Turducken Awards, where we talk about the worst angle or match or anything possible in the world of professional wrestling. Does TNA take the title again with the situation with Billy Corgan? Who knows? Is it how the cruiserweights ended up on Raw? Who knows? You'll have to tune in and listen and find out what our roundtable of experts believes the worst in professional wrestling was for 2016.
Wow. When is this roundtable again?
Thursday night.
Wow. Can I get patched into this, my friend?
We might have room at the table. I'll have to check.
All right.
I had a premonition that Big Dick would be at the table.
I'm always at the table. That's how I do stuff.
What is the Turducken Award?
You've been around here long enough to know what the Turducken Award is.
It's the stupidest segment of the year, right? Like the worst segment?
It's not even just the stupid. I mean, it's just the absolute worst. I mean, it's like if you had an option to bleach your brain and never have to have seen it ever, if you had an opportunity to jump in a time machine and change history, this would be the moment that you changed in history so nobody ever had to experience it.
For this year, I hate to say it, although it's funny, it's just the kind of stuff that embarrasses us to be professional wrestling fans. Ellsworth.
I don't know. I think a lot of people are legitimately entertained by Ellsworth.
I am, but I don't like it. I mean, I like it, but I don't. Do you know what I mean? Does that make sense to you? It's just, I have such respect for.
Have him get involved in a mid-card feud. We don't need to see him screwing over AJ Styles every week.
Yeah, like, if I'm AJ Styles, I'm like a little pissed off. Like, I've waited my whole career to be the champion, and this is what they book me in week after week after week. I don't think it's fair to AJ Styles.
But if you like it and entertain it, is that really the worst?
I know, dude, I know that it's crazy what I'm saying right now. I understand that it doesn't make sense. I'm uncomfortable with it.
I mean, you just think about the levels, though. I mean, like, last year's winner was Triple A's Triple Mania pay-per-view.
And why was it so bad?
That wasn't so bad. An entire pay-per-view that had nothing but technical issues all night, bad audio, bad wrestling matches, and a main event that ended up being a complete fiasco?
What was the main event?
Shit, I don't even remember now. I just remember it was bad.
Let me tell you something. Triple Mania, if they could sell tickets with a main event, I'm not lying, Vic, with a main event of your WrestleMania, what you're selling is La Parka versus La Parka, and that's your main event, and people sell out, you fill the fucking arena, everybody buys the pay-per-view, and you can sell La Parka versus La Parka. You, my friend, are a great promoter. That's amazing. That happened. Now, I remind you, La Parka was a glorified jobber in WCW.
Yeah, but that's WCW. He's a legend in Mexico.
I know it was LA Park versus La Parka, but still. I mean, it's La Parka versus La Parka. LA Park.
Well, I'm sure they'll probably end up doing a Sin Cara versus Mystico at some time, or whatever he's going by now.
You know what? It kind of sucks for Sin Cara, even though Sin Cara hasn't helped himself. Like, well, Hunico, with the stupid stuff he's been doing, but he can't, he'll never get out of that character, you know what I mean? Like, they should have just made him a different luchador, you know what I mean? Like, that Sin Cara character was snake bitten. It's not Hunico's fault, you know what I mean?
Yeah, but, honestly, he carries the gimmick well, he gets paid good money for it, he ain't bitching. Let
me tell you, he's a much better Sin Cara than the original. And I mean, I hear Mystico, or Mystiz, whatever he calls himself now, was one of the best wrestlers in the world. I didn't see that on WWE TV. I don't know where that came from or who that's come from. Something's wrong with him to mess up as much as he did on WWE TV.
Yeah, I can't explain it. Because you go back, you find the old videos, he's damn good. Gets to WWE, what the fuck happened?
It's not that he was, like, bad, it's just the botches, like, it wasn't that they were so bad, but they broke the flow of the whole match.
Yeah.
Like, you can only have that happen. Like, you know what I mean? It wasn't that he was bad, it was just that he looked like an amateur, like someone that needed to be polished up.
Well, I tell you what, that's the exact reason why. He completely skipped WWE developmental. They wanted him to go to developmental in WWE style. He said, no, I'm ready. And Triple H trusted him. And that was the problem. And that's why none of these guys ever get to skip straight to WWE anymore.
And that's good. I mean...
I take that back, with the exception of AJ Styles.
Well, you know what? You gotta give Bobby Roode credit. He's clearly one of the best wrestlers in the world. He's handling himself very well. They must really respect what he's doing. Like, he's not bitching. He's down there working his ass off. He's gonna get rewarded for it.
Oh, he is. He definitely is.
He's gonna be big. And no disrespect to Samoa Joe. I just don't think... I think WWE has shown them a tremendous amount of respect for letting him be the 2-time NXT champion and kind of bear the flag down there. But I just don't see him ever being a major player in WWE. I just don't.
I mean, I don't either. I mean, if he ever gets brought up, I see him holding mid-card. And that's, what? And that's fine because, Samoa Joe has had plenty of time at the top over the years, but he's done a lot more time in the mid-card, and I think he's quite comfortable with that.
I think his character is generally just a problem because you have to book him as a major world beater, and it's never good to have a guy on your roster that can't take losses because of his character. You know what I mean?
Yeah, somewhat, yeah.
That's like Kane. Like, every time Kane loses a match, it looks so bad because he's supposed to be the unstoppable monster, and it's just like, it doesn't work. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you're going to be booked that way, you can't lose matches. it just doesn't work with the gimmick. So,
or if you book that way, you have to come up with incredible ways to beat him.
well, yeah, like I love how Rusev morphed into like this more athletic character instead of this wrecking machine. Like they really moved him into a different character almost. I really like how he's changed into more of a competitor now. You know what I mean? We're not supposed to view him as this unbeatable force. We're supposed to view him as, a guy vying for the belt, just like a Roman Reigns or a Seth Rollins. They've done such a good job at Rusev. I arguably would say Rusev is the best character they've developed. A lot credit to Rusev as Rusev. I mean, he's just been amazing. I really respect what he's done. And these things are good for WWE right now. I really hope it continues to be the way it is. And, you were right all these years. There's this other world of wrestling out there, and look at WWE capitalizing, like getting the best people from all over the world. It's nice.
It's back to what it used to be. Because if you look at the WWF of the 70s, of the 80s, that's really what they did. Even when they were just a regional promotion, just still aspiring to become a national promotion, let alone international. I mean, what they really did was they wanted to be the best of the best. They wanted to be the place where all the elites came. And that's what they did.
And that's what's happening now. I mean, I just can't wait to see Nakamura come up. It's going to be awesome. He's going to be huge. Huge. Who's going to be his manager?
You really think he needs a manager?
I think what's going to happen is he's going to need to get into the main event scene. And to be in the main event scene, you have to sell a pay-per-view, right? So you got to do build up. I just don't think he's capable to do 4 weeks of promos. You know what I mean? So I think you just need him to get through, to check the box, to do the promos, to get to the pay-per-view. And I think that's going to become a problem when he gets to the main event. And he will get to the main event very quickly. So to build up those bigger matches, he's going to need somebody to help him.
I don't think so. I think because of the fact that he's Japanese and he appears to have, somewhat of a language barrier. And let me tell you, that's just a put on for the American audience. But he puts it on so well that there appears to be this language barrier. He comes off more as an enigma.
Yeah. Well, that's Mystique, right? Well, here's the problem. And we talked about this, me and you, off air. How they were doing the undefeated streak for him and Asuka, and they were kind of running parallel?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that they're both around at the same time. You have two of the most awesome talents we've seen at the same time, but with both being Japanese, both being unbeatable, both being perpetuated as language barriers on TV. Don't you think that kind of is tough to do at the same time? Like, they're so unique, but at the same time, like, we haven't seen anybody like these two in ever. And they're at the same time with the same arc, same story arc. I don't like that. How do they break away from that?
Well, I think they've already started doing it with Samoa Joe. He is a big enough character, to beat Nakamura. And after that, I think it becomes a little bit easier for other opponents to eventually beat Nakamura as well.
Yeah.
But they have to be opponents that can really step up to the game. And that's that's still the problem that I see with Asuka. She became so dominant, so quickly, in part because so many other good women were moved up as quickly as they were. Everybody else is just not ready for her yet.
Charlotte has to beat her. I think that, with Nakamura, that's easy to get over that undefeated thing. What they're going to do with Nakamura is probably what they did with AJ Styles. The best move they made with AJ Styles was putting him in that feud with Chris Jericho where they went back and forth and built a really nice series. Mm-hmm. Nakamura has to do the same thing.
Who would they put him against?
I would think either Seth Rollins or Finn Balor, and I think those would be great matches. And he should win that feud.
Finn Balor for sure. I'm not sold on Jericho.
I didn't say Jericho. I said Rollins.
Or Rollins. Yeah, I'd still say Finn Balor because Rollins at this point, I think he's going to be so much more focused on trying to get back the heavyweight title. He's going to be so focused at the top. I don't think it would serve him to put him against a guy who appears to possibly chew up everybody. But
yeah.
him and Balor have faced each other before, and that will be a good warm up to the crowd. But before they do that, Balor's going to have to be healthy. He's going to have to be back on the roster. He's going to have to get back to doing WWE matches again.
Will the fans remember his title reign? It was like a blink of an eye, man.
They'll respect it, but they'll need another title reign from him. He is going to have to immediately get himself inserted into the top of the card. I think he's got to get the title back again for at least a couple of months. And then once he loses that, then bring Nakamura in.
Wouldn't you be annoyed, though, if you were like Reigns and Rollins? Like, these guys in consecutive weeks put him over clean, and he just gets knocked. Like, it was so wasted. I feel bad for everyone involved.
I don't think it was wasted. I mean, you just couldn't have predicted that was going to happen.
No, I know, but it was so awesome, though, for somebody new to come on with 2 wins like that. I mean, he was being booked to be the man. Like, that was awesome. It was just so awesome. And I remember seeing him come out. I didn't even want to believe it when he handed the title over. I'm like, this is terrible. There must have been a lot of upset people, like, in the back.
That's where it goes. I mean, some of the surprises are good. Some of them are just a shot in the dark. I think it's going to revitalize, and it doesn't.
Yeah, I know, man. It's a shame. It's a shame. Well, I don't know. What do you think, Beck? Anything else you want to bring up before we get out of here?
No, that's it, I think.
All right, cool. Well, this is good stuff today, guys. Sorry to the folks who download this or listen to this that we're a day late. We'll be back next week. We had some technical issues yesterday, so we'll be back. We'll be back on Monday. So it was cool. It was unique to be able to watch all SmackDown and 205 tonight, and then come on the air and talk to you guys about Raw. That was cool. So it's kind of cool to be able to do a little both. So good stuff. Good. Thank you, Kevin and Big Dick, for being on the air tonight. It's a lot of fun. And I'm gonna hit the sack, and hopefully everybody has a good night. Thanks, guys.